Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq for more than 2 decades. He ruled with fear, control, and force. His leadership shaped the Middle East for years. He was born in 1937 in a poor village in Iraq. His childhood was hard and unstable. Violence was part of his early life. Saddam joined the Ba'ath Party as a young man. The party wanted power and control. Politics in Iraq was brutal. In 1979, Saddam took full control of the country. He became president. Soon after, he removed his rivals. His government relied on secret police. People were watched closely. Speaking out was dangerous. In the 1980s, Saddam led Iraq into a long war with Iran. The war lasted 8 years. Millions were killed or injured. He later invaded Kuwait in 1990. This shocked the world. It led to the Gulf War. Iraq was defeated. Sanctions followed. The country suffered for years. After 9/11, the United States accused Saddam of having dangerous weapons. In 2003, US-led forces invaded Iraq. His government collapsed quickly. Saddam went into hiding. He moved between safe houses. For months, no one could find him. In December 2003, he was captured near his hometown. He was found hiding underground. The image spread around the world. Saddam was put on trial by an Iraqi court. He was convicted for crimes against civilians. In 2006, he was executed. His death did not bring peace. Iraq fell into chaos. The effects are still felt today. Saddam Hussein is remembered as a symbol of brutal power, a ruler who controlled through fear, and whose fall changed a region. Augusto Pinochet was a military ruler in Chile. He held power for nearly 17 years. His rule left deep scars on the country. Pinochet was born in 1915. He joined the army at a young age. Over time, he rose through the ranks. In the early 1970s, Chile was deeply divided. The economy was struggling. Protests filled the streets. In 1973, the military took action. President Salvador Allende was removed in a coup. Pinochet became the new leader. Soon, he took full control. Congress was shut down. Political parties were banned. His government ruled through fear. Thousands were arrested. Many were tortured or disappeared. Secret police hunted down critics. People were afraid to speak. Even families stayed silent. Pinochet said he was saving Chile from chaos. He claimed his actions were necessary. Supporters believed him. At the same time, the economy changed. Free market reforms were introduced. Some parts of Chile grew wealthier, but the human cost was high. Lives were destroyed. Trust was broken. In 1988, a public vote was held. The people were asked if Pinochet should stay. They voted no. Pinochet stepped down as president in 1990, but he kept influence in the military. He avoided justice for years. Later, courts tried to hold him accountable. Cases followed him across countries, but he was never fully convicted. Pinochet died in 2006. He was 91 years old. No state funeral was held. Today, Chile still debates his legacy. Some remember stability. Many remember fear. Augusto Pinochet remains a symbol of power gained by force, and of how control can come at a terrible cost. Nicolae Ceausescu was the communist leader of Romania for over 2 decades. He ruled the country with strict control and fear. His leadership ended in sudden violence. Ceausescu was born in 1918 in a poor rural village. He had little formal education. As a young man, he joined the communist movement. After World War II, Communists took power in Romania. Ceausescu rose quickly inside the party. He was seen as loyal and disciplined. In 1965, he became the country's leader. At first, many people supported him. He promised independence and pride. Over time, his rule grew harsher. A powerful secret police watched the population. Criticism was not tolerated. Ceausescu wanted total control. He ordered massive building projects. Entire neighborhoods were destroyed. To pay foreign debts, he forced extreme cuts. Food was rationed. Electricity was limited. Life became very hard. By the late 1980s, anger was spreading. People were hungry and afraid. Trust in the government was gone. In December 1989, protests broke out. They started in one city. They quickly spread across the country. Ceausescu tried to speak to the public. The crowd turned against him. He lost control on live television. The army switched sides. Ceausescu and his wife tried to flee. They were captured within days. A rushed trial followed. They were accused of serious crimes. The verdict came fast. On December 25, 1989, both were executed. The images shocked the world. His rule ended overnight. Romania was finally free from dictatorship, but the damage remained. Years of fear could not be erased quickly. Ceausescu is remembered as a warning. Power without limits can collapse suddenly, and control can vanish in a single moment. Muammar Gaddafi was the leader of Libya for over 40 years. He ruled with strong control and bold ideas. His fall was sudden and violent. Gaddafi was born in 1942. He grew up in a desert tribe. He later joined the military. In 1969, Gaddafi led a bloodless coup. The king was removed. Gaddafi took power at a young age. He pushed a new political system. Oil money funded schools and housing. Living standards improved for some. At the same time, freedom was limited. Political opposition was crushed. Critics were punished. Gaddafi became known for strange behavior abroad. He supported armed groups. Western countries saw him as a threat. In the 2000s, he tried to rebuild ties with the West. Sanctions were lifted. Libya opened up slightly. In 2011, protests reached Libya, inspired by uprisings in the region. The government responded with force. The country fell into civil war. NATO launched airstrikes. Rebel forces advanced. Gaddafi fled the capital. He was captured while trying to escape. In 2011, he was killed. His death ended his rule, but it did not bring peace. Libya fell into long-term chaos. Muammar Gaddafi is remembered as a powerful but unstable ruler, a man who ruled alone and left a country divided. Mobutu Seko was the ruler of Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo. He held power for more than 30 years. His rule mixed control, corruption, and strong personal power. Mobutu was born in 1930. He joined the army as a young man. Later, he became involved in politics. In the 1960s, Congo was unstable after independence. The country faced violence and division. Power shifted quickly. In 1965, Mobutu led a military takeover. He claimed he would bring order. Soon, he became the sole leader. Mobutu built a system around himself. He renamed the country Zaire. He changed his own name to show authority. He controlled the media and the army. Opposition was not allowed. Critics were arrested or silenced. Mobutu also used fear and rewards. Loyal supporters gained wealth. Enemies were pushed aside. The country was rich in natural resources, but most people stayed poor. Money flowed into Mobutu's personal accounts. For years, foreign governments supported him. They saw him as a stable ally. This helped him stay in power. By the 1990s, his control weakened. The economy collapsed. Protests spread across the country. Armed groups began to rise. Mobutu was old and ill. His army no longer followed him. In 1997, rebel forces marched toward the capital. Mobutu fled the country. His rule ended without a final fight. He died later that year in exile. He was 66 years old. His long rule was over. After Mobutu, the country remained unstable. Years of corruption had left deep damage. Recovery was slow and painful. Mobutu Seko is remembered as a symbol of personal power, a leader who ruled through control and wealth, and left a nation struggling after his fall. Pol Pot was the leader of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. His rule caused one of the worst tragedies of the 20th century. Millions of lives were destroyed. He was born in 1925 as a young man. He studied abroad. There, he adopted radical political ideas. Cambodia fell into chaos during the 1970s war, and bombing weakened the country. Power shifted quickly. In 1975, the Khmer Rouge took control. Pol Pot became the country's leader. He promised a new beginning. Cities were emptied overnight. People were forced into the countryside. Families were torn apart. Pol Pot wanted a farming society. Money, schools, and religion were banned. Anyone seen as educated was targeted. People were worked to death. Food was scarce. Disease spread fast. Prisons and killing sites appeared across the country. Fear ruled daily life. Speaking out meant death. By 1979, foreign forces invaded Cambodia. The Khmer Rouge collapsed. Pol Pot fled into hiding. He remained in remote areas for years. His movement slowly fell apart. The world learned the full scale of the crimes. Pol Pot died in 1998. He was never put on trial. Justice came too late for many. Cambodia was left broken. Entire generations were lost. The pain still remains today. Pol Pot is remembered as a warning. Extreme ideas can destroy a nation, and silence can allow tragedy to grow. Hosni Mubarak was the president of Egypt for nearly 30 years. He ruled during a time of stability and growing frustration. His fall came suddenly. Mubarak was born in 1928. He joined the Air Force as a young man. He later became a military commander. In 1981, Egypt's president was assassinated. Mubarak was named the new leader. He promised order and security. For years, Egypt remained stable. Tourism grew. The government kept tight control, but political freedom was limited. Emergency laws stayed in place. Opposition voices were restricted. Corruption increased over time. Wealth gathered at the top. Many people struggled. By the late 2000s, anger was spreading. Young people felt ignored. Jobs were hard to find. In 2011, protests filled the streets. Millions demanded change. The movement spread fast. Security forces tried to hold control, but pressure kept rising. The world watched closely. After weeks of protests, Mubarak stepped down. His long rule ended. The moment shocked the region. Mubarak was later put on trial. The cases dragged on for years. Public opinion remained divided. He spent his final years out of power. In 2020, he died at the age of 91. His era was over. Egypt entered a new chapter, but the path was difficult. Change did not come easily. Hosni Mubarak is remembered as a symbol of long rule, a leader who kept order and lost touch with his people. Bashar al-Assad is the president of Syria. He came to power in a time of expectation. His rule later became linked to a long and brutal war. Assad was born in 1965. He trained as an eye doctor. Politics was not his original path. His father ruled Syria for decades. When his father died in 2000, Bashar took over. Many hoped he would bring reform. At first, there were small signs of change. Talks about freedom appeared, but real power stayed the same. The government remained strict. Opposition was limited. Security forces stayed strong. In 2011, protests broke out across Syria. People demanded political change. Inspired by movements in other countries, the government responded with force. Protests turned violent. The country began to split. Soon, Syria fell into civil war. Armed groups formed. Foreign powers became involved. Cities were destroyed. Millions were displaced. Many civilians were killed. Assad's government held key areas. Support from allies helped him survive. The war dragged on for years. Chemical weapons allegations shocked the world. Airstrikes followed. International tension grew. Despite pressure, Assad stayed in power. Elections were held under control. Opposition remained weak. Today, Syria is deeply damaged. Large areas lie in ruins. Recovery is slow and uncertain. Bashar al-Assad remains in office. His rule is tied to conflict and survival, and to one of the worst wars of this century. Robert Mugabe was the leader of Zimbabwe for nearly 40 years. He began as a hero of independence. Over time, his rule brought deep crisis. Mugabe was born in 1924. He was well educated and disciplined. Politics became his life early on. In 1980, Zimbabwe became independent. Mugabe won the election. People celebrated in the streets. At first, his government expanded schools and healthcare. Life improved for many families. Hope was strong. Over the years, Mugabe tightened his grip. Opposition voices were pushed aside. Power stayed in his hands. Land reforms changed everything. White-owned farms were seized. Food production collapsed. The economy began to fail. Inflation soared. Money became almost worthless. Jobs disappeared. Millions left the country. Daily life became a struggle. Mugabe refused to step down. Elections were widely questioned. Anger continued to grow. In 2017, the military intervened. Mugabe was forced to resign. His long rule ended without violence. He was 93 years old at the time, once praised, now widely criticized. His image had changed. Mugabe lived quietly after leaving office. In 2019, he died at age 95. His era was over. Robert Mugabe is remembered as a leader who stayed too long, a man who lost public trust and reshaped a nation, for better and worse. Franco was the ruler of Spain for nearly 40 years. He rose to power during a time of deep conflict. His rule shaped Spain for generations. Franco was born in 1892. He joined the army young. He built a reputation as a strict officer. In the 1930s, Spain was deeply divided. Political violence was common. Tension filled the country. In 1936, civil war broke out. The fighting was brutal and widespread. Millions were affected. Franco led the nationalist forces. They received foreign support. Slowly, they gained control. By 1939, the war ended. Franco became the country's leader. Spain was exhausted. Franco ruled as a dictator. Political parties were banned. Opposition voices were silenced. Thousands were arrested or executed. Fear shaped daily life. Speaking out was dangerous. For years, Spain remained isolated. The economy struggled. Many families lived in hardship. Over time, Franco adjusted his policies. Limited economic reforms were allowed. Growth slowly returned. Still, freedom was restricted. The press was controlled. Public debate was limited. Franco stayed in power until his death. In 1975, he died after a long illness. He was 82 years old. His death marked a turning point. Spain faced a new future. Change became possible. After Franco, Spain moved toward democracy. The transition was careful, but it succeeded. Franco is remembered in different ways. Some recall order. Many remember repression. His story shows how power can last for decades, and how deeply it can shape a nation.